So what do you do when you feel like quitting? On those late nights or tough mornings, sometimes it's just hard to grind it out. Life is happening all around us. School, work, relationships, health, mental health, it never stops. If you're a creative in any field and you're trying to make something out of seemingly nothing, it really can feel like you're making no progress. In this video, I want to discuss what to do when you feel like you're ready to quit or give up and just throw in the towel. See, me personally, I'm on a journey to make games and I want to release my first game this year. However, I've been struggling a lot lately. I feel like quitting daily, or I feel like I already quit because of my lack of consistency when it comes to working on my game or working on this YouTube channel. On top of that, life has not been easy. I recently started a new job and the travel for that over 2 hours. I'm not going to get into too much of that. I don't want to tell a sob story. The reality is, a lot of people have similar stories to mine or much worse. The journey to realize your passion can be painful and lonely. It's easy to meme that game devs quit or creatives often give up and don't get anything done, because we've all seen people start and disappear off the face of the internet. One day they're working on something, the next day they just stop. But we fail to realize there are many valid reasons to actually quit and give up. What I want to do is I want to humanize that feeling, because I'm currently feeling it now. I've felt it before and I've seen other people feel that same feeling. I want you to know that everybody feels like quitting, but I want to help you overcome it while also helping myself overcome that feeling.
You want a rematch? Don't give up. Challenge again.
I always want to provide you guys with value other than me just yapping. I want to share some stories of game devs that I've found online that have similar issues. There are a ton of games that have been abandoned or have gone through what you would call development hell or fallen into sort of tough issues in development. And I've used those stories to kind of push me through times when I've had a tough moment. I bet if you talk to these developers, there were many reasons to quit, but they stuck it out and found some level of success that I think that you should be aware of. The first project that I want to bring up is Omori. Omori is a hit indie game that you might be familiar with. It's one of the few successful indie games made with RPG Maker, which is already a big limitation in itself. Omori was made primarily by Omocat and based off of his webcomic he made to cope during a confusing time in his life. He had a successful Kickstarter in 2014, but it took them 6 years to see a full release. The development went through multiple versions of RPG Maker and had multiple issues with ports, such as the 3DS port being discontinued during the development. Eventually, the crowdfunding money they got ran out, and the team was forced to rely on merchandise sales to continue to fund the project. Cat was quoted working 20-hour days to try to finish the game for their 2020 release. Even with the game being as successful as it is, there's still a ton of controversy surrounding the game. For example, when I mentioned the game was made primarily by Omocat, some even complained they did not get royalties or were offered deals. I don't pretend to know the full details, so forgive me if I'm leaving something out that's important. The only reason I'm bringing up Omori is that it's a great example that shows that you can persevere through all of these tough times. Everything is not going to be perfect. Also a great example of how the engine that you use doesn't always matter. You don't need to be a professional, and you can pretty much get it done with whatever tools that you're comfortable with. You can make a project about the difficult times in your life and it can be a commercial success as long as you stick with it and you persevere. Another example is Cube World. Cube World is a game that I first heard about 10 years ago on YouTube. It was sort of a 3D action version of Minecraft. You can explore this voxel world, you can fight different enemies, level up, and use different weapons on top of the basic mechanics of Minecraft. It had a cult following for quite a while when it came out with a demo, but shortly after that it was abandoned for years. No one had heard from the developer and there were no updates on the project. But recently it resurfaced again, being remade by the same developer in a new engine, this time being remade completely from scratch from the ground up. But sadly, even this version has been slow with updates. The dev has been posting updates online and there is a playable version on Steam, but ultimately this game seems to be once again over-promising and under-delivering. The silver lining is the dev has not quit and the game is still in development. This game is a great example of how games may not be what you intend for them to be, but that doesn't mean that you should give up even if you have to pick it back up later or remake a lot of the systems. Continue working no matter the pace, because Cube World will have a fan base no matter when it releases. And probably my favorite game example of not quitting is Owlboy. Owlboy is a weird one, because looking at it, you would think that everything went perfectly. The game is gorgeous, the art is incredible, it's highly acclaimed. Nowadays, this game is seen as a classic, but researching the story, there was a lot to the development of this game. The game saw a ton of early success, even winning the 2010 IGF award. They also received a grant up to $80,000 and many other donations. The team ultimately suffered from these expectations. The development was pushed further and further as a result of trying to make the game better and better. I found a Vice article, which I highly recommend you read if you're interested in the development of this game. The developer says, the long development ended up becoming its own burden. Considering how I originally pitched this project and involved all these people to help me create it, I felt very responsible whenever there was another delay. Someone was unhappy or stressed. Anderson even delaying proposing to his girlfriend to release this game. Depression was also a big issue. He was quoted saying, "My art and our work was the positives in my life at the time. I always had this game to push me through. When we started working on Owlboy, all of my grandparents were still alive, cheering me on year after year." Halfway through the development, Madsen was on his way to meet with one of his best friends for dinner when he received a call telling him that the man had died of a catastrophic heart failure. From that moment on, he said, "I've been painfully aware of how fragile life can be." I don't want to fully read the rest of the story, you can look it up on your own, but this story has touched me for personal reasons as well. Reading this story is a cautionary tale that the quest for perfection takes a toll on yourself and everyone around you. I truly feel for the developer for sharing the hard parts of the story. It can be painful, it can be lonely. I think what I learned most from the story of Owlboy is he used working on the project to protect him from the stresses of life. Even though the game got very big and the expectations ended up being a lot, I think what's important is he was able to find peace in working on his project instead of the other way around. He didn't let the project stress him out at the end of the day, and I think that's how he was able to finish it, even with all of the difficulty he faced during the development. I think we can all learn a little bit about that, because once I get stressed, sometimes I don't want to work on my game. But in fact, I should, to help take my mind off of what it is that I'm going through. One thing is we forget that distractions never go away. Life goes on with or without us. Sure, we get distracted, we can have depression, maybe life gets in the way, but that doesn't mean that if you stop chasing your passion, that those problems now suddenly go away. In fact, your project can become your safe zone from the stresses of the world, rather than the world being the distraction. There will always be something happening, but as long as you can hold on to what matters to you, you will always be able to persevere. But don't worry, this video is about why you shouldn't quit. There are a few things that I noticed about success when it comes to any creative project. In order to succeed, you need three things. You need passion, timing, and luck. You need the passion to write down every idea that pops into your mind, to talk about it with your friends and share it online. You need to have passion for what it is that you're trying to make. Once you lose your passion, it's almost certainly that you will quit or get lazy about finishing it. This is why the advice of start small is not always the best advice, because a lot of people can't get passionate about small game projects. Go ahead and try to make that Breath of the Wild clone, try to make that roguelike, because at least then you won't give up. Timing. You need timing to succeed because your life has to make sense for what you're trying to do. If you don't have the time to spend on your project, or your life is going to change any day now, it's probably not a good time to start a new project. Creativity is about momentum, and timing is what you use to create momentum. Once you stop working on something for a long enough time, it's almost impossible to get back into it and relearn all the things that you used to know. It's important to have the correct timing to build up momentum. And lastly, if you want to succeed, you need luck. Sometimes you have bugs that you can't fix, ideas that you have to throw away, or maybe that friend that you've been working with can't work on the game with you anymore. Luck is so important for everything to go right. Consider yourself lucky if you can sit down and work on your project without any problems or any distractions. There are plenty of room for things to go wrong before, during, or even after you release your project. And if you're lucky enough to have a clear environment or opportunity to try it, it's best you take it and try to make it happen. Even without these 3 things, that doesn't mean that you should give up on your project. What's important is you come back when you do. There is no shame in working on a game over your summer, over the weekend, or maybe over a vacation. 1 to 2 hours a night or 1 hour in the morning, it adds up. What I find interesting is there are so many valid reasons to quit and difficulties that happen in development, but what I can't find many reasons for it to never try again. We always have some idea cooking in the back of our mind that we want to try one day. If you happen to lose that passion, then go back to why you started in the first place. Rekindle that passion and push on, because ultimately, when you're sitting there playing the latest game, doom scrolling on your phone, you need to realize that nothing good can come from what you're doing right now. The worst that can happen is life will get in the way, but the best that can happen is you'll actually work on something that you love to do. And if you fail for any particular reason, I guarantee you'll find another reason to start again. Get inspired, try it again, because life is gonna come and life is gonna go. So, in fact, I recently made a Discord. So if you're someone who is working on something, I want you to check out the link below, join my Discord. I don't really know what I'm doing over there, but whenever I am working on something, I will be in my Discord, listening to music and chatting with whoever's in there, so that we can kind of, keep each other accountable and motivate each other, and let's make something cool.
Take care. Peace.